What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Touchdowns to Home Runs. My name's Bernie, and today we have a very exciting video because we finally reached the best game of the young 2020 college football season. And today we're going to be doing a preview and prediction of this week's matchup between the number 2 Alabama Crimson Tide and the number 3 Georgia Bulldogs. If you guys like what you see today, make sure to leave a thumbs up, comment your predictions down below, and subscribe to the channel so that we can keep on doing these previews and enjoy the video. Alabama has had a very solid start to the 2020 college football season. Right now, they're 3-0 with wins against Missouri, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss. In each of their first 3 games, they've scored at least 38 points, including 63 in the scare last week against Ole Miss and 52 against number 13 Texas A&M the week before. Before we look at the negative or the deciding factor, which in my opinion is the defense for Alabama, let's look at the positives, and I mean Alabama's offense has been absolutely sensational to start the year. They're ranked number 1 in college football in points scored per game and ranked top 3 in every offensive category in the SEC. Obviously, their offense is led by Mac Jones, their quarterback, who has had a sensational start to the season. So far, he's thrown 8 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and has a completion percentage of just under 80% at about 79.5%. SportsBettingDime.com has recently updated their Heisman odds and have Mac Jones ranked number 3 in the updated Heisman. If we flip over to Alabama's backfield, we have Najee Harris, who is potentially the best running back in the country. In 52 carries this season, he has 347 total yards, which has him leading the SEC. He also has 10 touchdowns in the early season, which has him first in all of college football in rushing scores. If we go back to SportsBettingDime.com in their updated Heisman odds, they also have Najee Harris ranked number 5 overall, which means that Alabama's offense, according to this site, has 2 of the top 5 Heisman contenders. As I mentioned before, I think that the deciding factor of this game will come down to the defense of Alabama, which has not been great at all in the first 3 games this season. I think that this game will be a shootout, and I think that it's going to come down to, can Alabama's defense get that 1 or 2 key stops at a point in the game? And there's 2 main categories with Alabama's defense that don't really sit well. Points allowed with 30.3 and yards allowed per game at 473, which is about 2 times the amount that Georgia's given up. In my opinion, Alabama does still have some pretty talented pieces on the defense. When we look at guys like Jordan Battle, Dylan Moses, Christian Harris, they haven't performed as a unit so far this season, but who knows if they'll be able to make the adjustments come Saturday. Let's flip over to the Georgia Bulldogs. So far, the Bulldogs have started the season with a 3-0 record. They've beaten Arkansas, Auburn, and Tennessee. And in my opinion, there's really no other way to put it besides the Georgia Bulldogs have been absolutely fantastic this season. And it really starts with the defense. They've played 2 ranked teams, Auburn and Tennessee. In any of the games this season, they haven't allowed over 21 points. And I mean, you look at some of the defensive performances, only 6 points to Auburn and a shutout in the second half last week against Tennessee. Georgia's offense has been pretty solid this year, but in my opinion, they need to be able to create their separation on defense and be able to dull down the electric offense of Alabama. I want to just touch on that key stat that I mentioned before. Georgia has allowed about half the amount of yards as Alabama, but they need to be able to prove why their defense is so good on Saturday. Coming into the year, Georgia's offense was the question, but man, have some guys stepped up, and that starts with Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett has only started at Georgia in 2 different games, which is against 2 ranked teams in Auburn and Tennessee, but he has been quite the show so far. 53 for 84 for 689 passing yards. He's thrown 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. I think it'll be really interesting to see if he's able to continue to prove his consistency this weekend. I know that if you go back to the Auburn and Tennessee games, there's some balls that he definitely would have liked to get back, and I think it'll be really interesting to see what he can do against this defense. The part that I really like about Georgia's offense this season is how multi-dimensional it is, and that leads into the running game. We look at guys like Zamir White, 209 yards this season with 4 total touchdowns. But we go to the Tennessee game as an example. They had 5 different players who rushed for over 20 yards and 4 different players who rushed for over 40 yards. This is an offense that's very creative and can beat you in a lot of ways, and that's what I really like about this Bulldogs offense. Now on to the betting lines and my predictions and picks. At the time that I'm filming this video, Alabama is currently a 5-point favorite, and on the money line, they're minus 213, which means that if we flip over to Georgia, Georgia's a 5-point underdog, and on the money line, they're plus 170. In the total points for the game total, the over-under is currently 56.5. I really liked Georgia last week against Tennessee. Obviously, they were sensational in the second half without allowing a point. I thought they were pretty good in the first half as well. There were a couple situations that could have gone Georgia's way that just didn't, and they were down. But overall, a really, really solid game. I think this game as a whole has shootout written all over it. Obviously, two electric offenses. But I think when it really comes down to it, like I was saying before, I think it comes down to the 1 or 2 key stops. And I think at the end of the day, it's just Georgia's defense is better than Alabama's defense. So I'm taking Georgia plus 5, and I like Georgia on the money line as well. And because of these two offenses, also give me the over 56.5. If you guys made it to this point in the video, thank you. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys are taking Alabama or Georgia, and let me know why. And also let me know if you guys agree with my picks and reasoning as well. If you guys like today's content, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to Touchdowns to Home Runs down below for more previews just like these. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.